Novel title, Hail the King. Chapter 14, The Healing Facility. Now Angela and Emma noticed the abnormal surrounding atmosphere. The soldiers were looking at Alexander with complete respect. The king, who had previously been a laughing gag for everyone in Chambord, now seemed like a super idol that every soldier would sacrifice their own life for. This level of respect and worship from the soldiers was usually only directed toward Lampard. Hail King Alexander. Long live King Alexander. Faye felt great in front of Angela. He gave the surrounding soldiers a look that only brothers would understand. The soldiers laughed and were very cooperative. They all raised their arms and yelled, "Hail King Alexander." Back then, every soldier felt that Alexander was a pile of shit compared to his fiancée Angela, who was a shining diamond. They felt sorry for Angela and believed that Alexander was not good enough for her. However, they now felt that, the pile of shit, Alexander was the only one in Chambord worthy of this diamond. To Angela and Emma, they never encountered such an atmosphere when Alexander was present. What happened? The two smart girls wouldn't wrap their heads around it. At this moment, My Majesty, Pierce almost didn't make it. Brooke, the second commander of the king's guards, rushed towards Faye. Although he knew that King Alexander was not a doctor nor even a priest from the church, he still had a tiny amount of hope in Faye, because of his amazing performance today. He hoped that Faye was still hiding some secrets under his sleeves. God, please. Give us one more miracle. Just one more miracle from King Alexander. Pierce. The white-haired man who had risked his life to destroy the two siege ladders appeared in Faye's mind. That man was a real warrior, no doubt about it, not just because of his strength, but also because of his mindset and willingness to sacrifice his life for something that he cherished. Brooke, take care of Angela and Emma for me, I will go and take a look. Faye tapped on Angela's hand and passionately told her to be careful. Then, he looked at Emma and raised his eyebrows to show off his new influence on the soldiers, including the commanders to her. Finally, a soldier led him towards the healing facility. Emma couldn't take Faye's teasing. She stared the Faye's back bitterly as he was rushing away. Then she turned around and said cutely, "Uncle Brooke. What happened? Alexander seems like..." That was the same question that Angela, who was blushing because of Faye's flirty behavior, wanted to know the answer to. Brooke smiled as he told them what had happened in the critical moment of the battle when Faye arrived. As the second commander of the king's guards, Brooke treated these two girls like his own daughters. In fact, almost every citizen at Chambord liked these two kind and mature girls. They all felt injustice towards Angela, the poor girl that was forced to marry this retarded king. But now, everyone who had witnessed or participated in the battle believed that only Alexander was the right fit for Angela. After listening to the entire story, Angela and Emma were shocked. Is our retarded Alexander really the hero of the story? Emma had her doubts. At Chambord Healing Facility. When Faye walked in, he was shocked. This place isn't the healing facility, is it? It looks like a pig pen. Faye thought to himself. A cold, moist, and moldy smell filled this seemingly abandoned place. There wasn't even a door to block the wind and the rain. The windows were blocked by rocks, dust and mud were everywhere. There was only some hay on the ground, while hundreds of heavily wounded soldiers were crying and groaning. 4 or 5 doctor personnel who were dressed in black and white robes walked between these soldiers. There was definitely a shortage of hands as these doctors were sprinting around, covered in sweat. "Your Majesty has arrived," yelled the soldier who led Faye. That had caught the attention of everyone in the facility, except those who were still in a coma or had fainted. The bravery and the power of King Alexander spread throughout the facility by the wounded soldiers, who were sent here after Faye had arrived on the battlefield. Many soldiers were imagining the exciting and manly battle scenes. Of course, some soldiers who didn't see Faye on the battlefield were a little skeptical. They wanted to see the king who turned from a retard into a hero in person. After seeing King Alexander arrive, the soldiers here were really pumped. Some soldier ignored the wounds on their bodies. They struggled to sit up to see the king, breaking the scabs that had just formed on their wounds. The ones who fought alongside Faye all cheered, "Hail King Alexander." Faye thanked the soldier who had led him to the facility, then quickly tried to comfort the soldiers who were struggling to sit up. He didn't know what to say. This was definitely not the right place to display his royal status. After seeing many young, mature, and old faces, their startling wounds, the blood from their body soaking into the soil beneath them. Something triggered Faye's heart. The glorious hero's legacies from Earth seemed to be relived by the people in front of him. Technically speaking, these soldiers were wounded from protecting him, some of them would be disabled forever. As a person from Earth, Faye wouldn't convince himself to accept this fact. If possible, he wished that he had fought the battle from the beginning alongside these soldiers. Humans seem to always contradict themselves, and Faye was a prime example. He was a coward and was extremely scared of death, but at this moment, he desired to fight and battle. Maybe he was affected by the endless violence and bloodiness in the Diablo world, or it might have been his animal instincts being triggered by the enemy's pressure. My warriors, you have protected Chambord and you deserve the glory we have won today. Although Fei considered himself a talker, he didn't really know what to say at this point. When he bowed to all the soldiers in the healing facility, that sentence suddenly came out. This world was similar to medieval European feudal societies, under strict classes and hierarchies. A king bowing to a lower-classed soldier was unheard of, not even a retarded king. Sometimes, human emotions were simple. Many soldiers were touched by Fei's bow. Some soldiers who were complaining and spiteful as a result of their new disabilities, felt that it was worth it at that moment. After Fei comforted a majority of the wounded soldiers, he arrived in front of Pierce. He had entered a coma. The enemy left some of his energy inside of Pierce's body, when his shoulder was pierced by the rapier. The energy damaged Pierce's body and shocked his internal organs. Blood was flowing out of the wounded area non-stop. A young doctor was scrambling on the side attempting to stop it, but it was not effective. Fei now had the chance to observe the doctor's treatment in close detail. He was really disappointed. The doctors at Chambord didn't have the magical healing spells Fei had imagined. They could only perform simple first aid, including cleaning wounded areas and applying healing medicine to it. The effectiveness of these treatments was very limited. The life and death of the wounded soldiers depended all on their own physical attributes and the severity of their wounds. If they were lucky, they could stay alive; if not, then they couldn't do anything but to die.